I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Chairman, I rise in very strong opposition to the Export-Import Bank, and I do that as the ranking member of the International Monetary Policy and Trade Subcommittee. Mr. Speaker, Madam Chair, there is growing anger and frustration in this country at the increasing greed and illegal activities in corporate America. The American people are sick and tired of CEO salaries in the tens of millions of dollars, in the hundreds of millions of dollars that are now on average 500 times greater than what the average American worker receives. The American people and workers are sick and tired of CEOs slashing pension programs and health benefits for their retirees while corporate profits are soaring. The workers of this country are sick and tired of corporate America shutting down American plants, throwing American workers out on the street and taking our jobs to China, to Mexico, where desperate people are forced to work for 20 cents an hour. The American people are sick and tired of accounting gimmicks that cheat investors and employees. They are tired of CEOs setting up phony post office box companies in Bermuda, so that while the middle class pays more and more in taxes, CEOs and their corporations avoid their responsibilities in terms of taxes. And basically, the American people are tired of corporate welfare. We're going to hear a whole lot in this body about making poor people responsible when it comes to corporate welfare. What about the CEOs and the major multinational corporations who get tens and tens of billions of dollars from the working families of this country? Now, some of my colleagues are going to tell you, well, Export-Import Bank creates jobs, it does some good. Sure it does. We give them $1 billion a year, and we put at risk through loan guarantees some $15 billion a year. And if you sat out on a street corner and you gave away $1 billion a year, you would also do some good. But the issue is, are you getting value for the amount of money that you're spending? And the answer is obviously no. Madam Chair, the outrage of the Export-Import Bank is that we are giving billions of dollars to the major job cutters in America. Yeah, that's true. The largest corporations who come into export-import to get their corporate welfare laugh all the way to the bank, because these are precisely the people who lay off American workers and then say, thank you, workers, for subsidizing our efforts. Let's look at those desperate companies that are getting the corporate welfare from export-import. It's Boeing, General Electric, Caterpillar, Mobil Oil, certainly in need of taxpayer support, Westinghouse, AT&T, Motorola, Lucent Technologies, IBM, Enron, getting help from export-import. Now, the irony here that not only should the taxpayers of this country not be supporting profitable multinational corporations, but the irony is we give them money and they say, thank you, we're moving to China, we're moving to Mexico. General Electric, a major recipient of export-import, we give them a lot of money. What's the result? From 1975 to 95, GE reduced its workforce from 667,000 Americans to 398. Boeing, the same thing, huge job layoffs. Jack Welch, interestingly enough, the former CEO of GE, when he gets on the welfare line, you know what he said? He said, quote, ideally, what you would have is to put every company on a barge, end of quote. In other words, what he says is thank you for the money, but we're going to go any place in the world where we can get cheap labor. Now, in addition to it being corporate welfare, in addition to us through XM giving money to companies who have contempt for American workers, what also must be understood is that export-import is part of a failed trade policy. The United States trade deficit was $346 billion in 2001, and the trade deficit in goods was $426 billion. Let us wake up and understand that permanent normalized trade relations with China is a failure. Yeah, we gained some export jobs, but we're losing far, far more in terms of jobs being lost because companies have taken our jobs to China. Over the past 4 years, we have lost a total of 2 million factory jobs, representing 10% of our manufacturing workforce. I would ask for 3 additional minutes.
Madam Speaker, I yield the gentleman 3 additional minutes, and then I will need to yield to other members who are in the chamber.
Gentleman is recognized.
So the point here is export-import is part and parcel of a failed trade policy, whether it is most favored nation status with China, permanent normalized trade relations with China, NAFTA. That policy is failing, and it's time that we say we cannot continue to hemorrhage American jobs. Let me repeat, under this great trade policy, which Republican leaders talk about, some Democratic leaders talk about, corporate America and editorial boards say it's great. If it's so great, why between 1994 and 2000 have more than 3 million decent paying manufacturing jobs been lost? In 2001, the manufacturing sector lost 1.3 million jobs. In my own state of Vermont, a small rural state, small plant after small plant after small plant is closing down because they cannot compete against imports coming in from China, where workers are being paid 20 or 25 cents an hour. And it's time that this body finally said enough is enough. Yeah, we get millions and millions of dollars from corporate America for our campaigns. Yeah, that's great. They come to $25,000 a plate fundraising dinners. But what about the workers in rural Vermont, in California, in Illinois, in Ohio, who have lost their jobs? Maybe somebody should stand up for them. What about the high school graduates who used to be able to go out in the workforce and get a manufacturing job and make a living wage, who today flip hamburgers at Burger King or McDonald's? Maybe they need a decent job, even if they can't contribute huge sums of money to this institution in terms of campaign contributions. Our trade policy is a failure. XM is part of that trade policy. Let's defeat it for that reason. Let's end corporate welfare. Where are all my conservative friends who want a balanced budget? Do you really want to give $1 billion a year to some of the largest, most profitable corporations in America? There are many reasons to defeat XM, but it's time that we stood up for the American taxpayer. It's time we stood up for the American worker, and it's time we told corporate America, get off the welfare train. Start respecting American workers. Start respecting the United States of America. Don't sell our country out. Don't sell our workers out. Let's defeat XM.